Okay, my name is Greg Murray. I'm speaking to you from Swinburne University in Melbourne, Australia, and it's a great pleasure to be speaking about the sleep component of self-management in bipolar disorder. My only problem is I could speak about this for about 3 weeks without stopping, and I've been given a minute and a half to describe it. I suppose the best way to introduce the role of sleep in bipolar disorder is to make this observation. Sleep matters in bipolar disorder in two ways, and we need to appreciate both those ways to be able to optimally manage sleep in bipolar disorder. The first way that sleep matters in bipolar disorder is it's a very serious impact on the quality of life of people with bipolar disorder. So, as you can see here, in bipolar depression, the vast majority of people when they're depressed with bipolar disorder report sleep problems, typically insomnia. In mania and hypomania, as many of you probably know, insomnia is a very common problem too. Something like 25 or 30% of people will report difficulties falling asleep. And of course, one of the defining symptoms of mania and hypomania is decreased need for sleep. But as we often see clinically, there's that sort of hyper-arousal, that tired but wired sort of experience, which means that people both have lots of energy but are also struggling to calm down and get to sleep when they actually want to. But even during euthymia, even when people are well with their bipolar disorder, there are very significant ongoing sleep problems. So my colleague Alison Harvey at Berkeley did one study where she simply described or did interviews with people with bipolar disorder when they were euthymic, when they were well, and asked them about what their sleep was like. And she wrote down the various things that people were talking about. And what struck her once she got all this data about, difficulties getting to sleep, difficulties staying asleep, quality of sleep, concerns about sleep, the sample of people with bipolar disorder were describing their sleep in very, very similar negative terms to a sample that's just presenting for insomnia. So the sleep problems of people with bipolar disorder look very much like people who look like the sleep problems of a group of people whose primary problem is sleep. So sleep is a defining feature of the disorder in terms of the people's experience of it. And that's probably why when Dr. Mihalich and I developed the quality of life instrument for bipolar disorder, we discovered that one of the major domains in quality of life for people with bipolar disorder was sleep. So that's the first way that sleep matters in bipolar disorder. It's a very important challenge for people with the disorder. But just to move on to my second slide, sleep is also critical because it's causal in bipolar disorder. And in fact, this is one of the things that people with bipolar disorder worry about. Sleep actually matters. In fact, one of the sort of dominant ways of thinking about the biology of bipolar disorder is it may be primarily due to various features of the disorder, may be primarily due to some sort of abnormalities in the biological clock or the sleep system. This idea has been around for a long time. And in fact, in 1987, a guy called Tom Weir put forward the idea that with mania, which of course is the defining feature of bipolar disorder, that sleep reduction is the final common pathway to mania. And of course, we do know that it's very, very rare for someone to have an episode of mania without missing a night's sleep. And similarly, if we do create circumstances where a night's sleep is disturbed, someone is at increased risk of having a relapse into mania. And there's a bunch of other evidence, I won't go through it now, which focus on neurobiology and how treatments work, which strongly suggest sleep and the body clock are very important causally in bipolar disorder. That is, we need to pay good attention to them because if we don't, we may be increasing the risk of relapse. Or to put that more positively, we can learn skills that will improve our sleep, our management of the body clock, which can decrease our risk of relapse. And if I had more time, I would tell you all about the various behavioural and cognitive treatments that can in fact help people with bipolar disorder improve their management of their sleep and body clock function in a way that decreases their risk of relapse for bipolar disorder. But I won't go through that now because that's all the material that you're going to be able to look at in the self-management section of the website. So thanks for listening to me talk.